Hi. Welcome. Welcome. Hello, guys. Sorry for rescheduling this. Um, another day. You know, shit happened, and oh boy, did my ass hurt. Hi, guys. Sorry about that. I am still setting up, and I just realized that I've been like nearly 10 minutes in the starting Zoom screen. So sorry about that. Let me just cue up some tunes for us. But how are you guys doing? Hi Ryzen, hi Mod Lover, hi Hattie, hi Eric. Welcome, welcome. Hi John. Welcome for tuning in. Uh, how you guys doing? You having a good weekend? Uh, this week, this week has to be the week. We have to stay positive and make sure that this week where everything gonna fix itself. There's a lot. There's a lot on my mind. But I am I'm very nervous because hopefully this week I will have an interview at a place that I am aiming for, and I hope that this is when I finally get a job again. Because oh boy, I cannot. I can't be home anymore. I can't be home. I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm not made to be home. Even though like I have so much shit, but I keep pushing everything back because I can't take care of myself. I cannot for the like of me take care of myself. So, yeah, my chore games, trash right now. Absolute trash. Even though, like, I try to motivate myself, but my head is just not cooperating at all. I'm very hoping that I can at least, like, maybe if I have some good news and I have a new job, uh, like, soon, maybe I can finally fix myself. There's also, like, um, a few things as well that I've been looking around and regarding 2.0 and everything. Um, well, besides the work not having progress at all this week, since I've been consumed by Monster Hunter Wild, uh, I might be starting to doubt. I might have a bit of a doubt about the model. I've just, I don't know. There's a bit of a Soul Freeze, thank you so much for the follow. Hi, hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my attempt at yapping before we get into the the main thing. But yeah, I've been honestly staring at my 2.0 model for a while, and I'm like, uh, mm, is this what I want with it? Is this is this too much? Are people gonna like it? It's I don't know. Like, you think you went too far with it? It's it's not I mean, yes, I did went too far with it. That we're gonna we're gonna admit, I went fucking too way too far with it. It's not that. It's more like, it might be too overwhelming going too far with lore. Also, hi. Hi, Tummy Temper. Welcome, welcome. Hi. I hope you're having a good day. Welcome to my 30 minutes of yapping practice that I'm trying to do every stream nowadays. Cause I'm not the best yapper at all. I'm trying to talk to you guys, and this is good practice. This is good practice. But yeah, so as I was saying, You heard about this book? Yes, 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 yes. This is Halo: The Fall of Reach, which I am also reading Halsey's journal at the same time, since we are cross-referencing the 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 te- the me 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 me. We are cross-referencing the dates from Dr. Halsey's journal and The Fall of Reach in order to see like both perspective. Because Fall of Reach mostly focus on John, while Dr. Halsey, who created the Spartan program and everything, it helps bring a few perspective and more details into what happens that isn't really shown in the book. So this is something that I've really enjoyed, like starting doing literally midstream last time. But yeah, back to what I was going to say. So yeah, 2.0. 2.0, the more I look at it, the more I feel like it's a bit too overwhelming. It is a complicated rig. I will be very honest with you. It is a very big learning experience as well. But the more I rig it, the more I feel like maybe I've done too much with it. My expectations were probably too high. I aim too high. I push myself a bit too high. And I just don't know. Like I feel like 2.0 is maybe a failure at this point, and maybe I need to like rethink it. I don't know. What do you guys feel? What do you guys think? It is a lot of work that I have to sink into it. It is a lot of hours and tears and everything. But there's just this big doubt in me. I wanna hear you guys' thoughts, honestly, because I know you guys are all very excited and looking forward to it, but it's heavy. Is this a 2.0? No, this is my 1.0, essentially. Essentially, this is the first model that I made, that I learned, that I drawn, that I've rigged, everything on stream. This is 1.0. And then this this is 2.0, essentially. This is a work in progress that I've made. It is a very hefty and heavy model, essentially. And it's as you can tell, it's a very it's a game changer for me, honestly. The little guy is clinging to me. Thank you, thank you. Yes, all of my models will always have my little creatures with me. This is something that I will always bring back because I like this little creature and it has to be on me at all time. Yeah, the mouth is cool conceptually. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So 2.0 is essentially I'm going back to the concept of being a vessel, essentially. So the inspiration is essentially think of a vase, like a ceramic vase, trying to contain something. But this vase is broken. Now just add the space and the bits, and here you are. The face is essentially a mask, as you can tell. But yeah, I feel like this model might be a bit too much for what I wanted to do. But it might just be like my head tricking me, and trying to belittle my own skills. I don't really know how to say it, and I really really need to hear you guys about it, because we sunk a lot of time into this, and I just don't want to disappoint anyone. Hmm. 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 You've you've put a lot of hours in it and learn from it as well. I feel if you need a break from it, then take it. I'm here for the long haul. I'd rather not not stress too much. However, I won't tell you to stop. That's what you want. Mhm. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I get distracted a lot. I get distracted a lot. I am very bad at um, keeping my priorities in checks without being distracted, without being like, this game. I'm always like distracted by like, this game. I want to play it and everything, and I want to do this, I want to do that, and I keep pushing away like everything that needs to be done because of it. And it's a recurring problem that I had for years that I still can't fix. So my bad habit is like literally just to just to run myself to the ground with something that I hyper focus on until I'm very very bored, and then I get depressed because I'm like I don't know what to do anymore. And then I look at all the work pile I have, and I'm like I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something fun. But yeah, yeah. This is like maybe I should continue it. Maybe I should continue it. Like I don't wanna give up on it. I feel like every day I either feel guilty for going live instead of working on something, or I feel guilty to working on the thing all day and then I didn't go live. True, true. Like personally, like I've reached a point in the month. I've reached a point in the entire month I've been jobless that I'm like, I need to lighten my workload. I've realized that I try to do everything by myself, and that's not a good thing. You shouldn't do everything by yourself. You need people to support you. You need people who can compensate for what you're missing. It may also usually having people you can bounce your progress off to of make a huge difference for me. Yeah, like I don't really care of hiding. I don't. I'm not really someone who right now feels like I need to hide what I'm doing because it's a good way for people to getting to know me and what I can do. Because I like working where people can see me. I like working on things that people can see me. There are still some things that I like to keeps hidden, which I'm trying to like surprise everybody. I've shown the people in my Discord what I'm going to be working on next. So I feel like maybe like you guys said, I need to take a break from touching this like 2D model and just focus on something else for now. So I think the the sign from the life that I got today, which was a drawing I did, essentially just you guys have seen it. Let me just pull it out again. So I've drawn a thing. I've drawn a thing, as you guys seen in the starting soon screen, which is going to be an animation that I'm going to be working on. Boink. And yeah, essentially, like this is something that I'm going to be trying out as to learn animating in Live 2D rather than doing a model rig. It's going to be a full on animation, Live 2D animations. Because yes, we are at that point. I want to learn how to do it, and I've never done anything of the sort. So first 2.0 is not a failure by far. Even if the outcome is not 100% what you wanted, just all the new stuff you learn makes it work. Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot. There's a lot I want to do. There's a lot I want to do, but I realize that I have my limits. I have my limits. I can't do everything by myself. Because otherwise, you know what happens to me. I start drinking and then I start crying. And you guys are starting to get used to it, and I don't like it. That is such a French thing. I'm sorry for being French. will not apologize for being French. Tabarnak de calice. Écoute-moi bien, mon esti. You're so valid, bestie. Listen. I talking French is like the last thing that's on my mind. I barely speak French at my own house. How you say you ate you ate bestie in French? How to say uh, um um huh? How do I say that? Hang on. Hmm. That might be too American for me. No. That's possibly a way. Hang on, let me just think for a moment. Like, you ate bestie, so manger ta me t'as mangé ta meilleure. What the fuck? T'as mangé ta meilleure. That makes no fucking sense. I hate French. I fucking hate French. It makes no sense translating to that fucking language. Like fucking hell. The green worm goes towards the green glass. All right, let's take this sentence. In French, is le verre vert va vers le verre vert. The green worm goes towards the green glass. Le verre vert va vers le verre vert. Yeah. French is fucking stupid. So let's see. So, okay, a worm is a ver. V-E-R. Okay, you know what? Hang on. I'm pulling out Clip Studio. I'm pulling out Clip Studio. Fuck this shit. I'm gonna explain this bitch real quick. Ha ha ha. Ah. Immersion break. All right. So. Let me explain this one real quick, right? Let me explain this one real quick. The green the green worm goes towards the green glass, right? Duh. This is like how do I explain this in English? This is a sign like you can go like le la le essentially. It's just like what will essentially makes the fucking link to the next word. Green is vert. Worm is a vert. Goes is va. Towards vers. De le la le whatever. But since we only care about le right now. Green and glass. Hang on. See? That's how it's stupid, right? That's how French is stupid. That's just how stupid French is. Someone explained to me we all shit at the same level the other day, and I was like, huh, I never heard that one. But yeah, it's just how stupid. How do you pronounce it completely? Hi, Browthar. What do you mean? How do you pronounce it completely? Le vert vert va vers le vert vert. I mean, I'm Canadian French, so I'm not too sure if your French is like European French or the same French as I am. So I couldn't really tell. But yeah, that's just how stupid French is. I am Quebecer. Yes, I'm Québécois. Québécoise. Yes, I'm from that place. Ads in 50. Awesome, awesome. That means I can set the my French is Caribbean version. That means you are like mm, Louisiana French, essentially. It's like a European French ish, I guess. Caribbean French. I don't know. Cajun Creole. Yeah, yeah, we have Cajun. We have Cajun here. It's more like New Brunswick. I do know the Cajun French as well. Yeah. Haitian Creole. Mm. But yeah, we will be having ads very soon, and I will be able to get ready to read you guys this thing. I just realized there's no what the fuck. Oh, that's because the audio mixer is fucking baba. Alright, alright. So reading stream. Yes, reading stream. It's time. Alright. Boink. Ba. Alright. So happy I don't have them. Well, that sounds like a skill issue, Rima. So. Let's see. If I summarize what we read last time, we went over the literal beginning of how Captain Keys or Lieutenant Keys right now was drafted by Dr. Halsey to essentially scout all the ads ending tree. Yeah. I'm just remembering myself what we went over. But yeah, we can wait for ads to finish. What to talk about then? Hmm. My shard still works. Oh yeah, they still work. Blah. The most scuff toggles I ever have. This one. That thing was a pain in the ass, and it was so disgusting to do. What did I learn from this one? Never make clusters. Never make fucking clusters. Because then you won't be able to do anything about those. But yeah. I've also noticed that I've been pushing my voice a bit too harsh on stream, so I'm gonna try and like let my natural voice take over this time. Rather than, 0:27 AM, I should go to sleep. Rima, we both know you're not gonna be going to sleep until like another 2 hours. You always do that, all right? Mm. Uh, huh? Yes, I am calling you out, by the way. But yeah, I've been noticing how I've been pushing my voice a bit too harshly on stream. So, like I was saying, like I'm probably gonna let it sit more at my natural tone, like my natural deep womanly voice. You're going to be stuck with it now. I didn't sleep at night before yesterday just to fix it. Bitch, go the fuck to sleep. No reading for you. No book reading for you. Go to fuck to sleep. It's gonna be great to read this now with a fixed audio as well. Honestly. Uh okay. Are we done? Ads are over? Oh, the clash between supporting friends in chat and being responsible for my own healthy self. I've told you guys that your health is more important than tuning into my stream. If you're not healthy, you won't be able to tune in. And I want you guys to be healthy. Don't do like I do. But then again, they do say that the viewer reflects the streamer. So, like fucking streamers, like fucking viewers. All right. All right. So, let's see. Are we ready? You guys ready? So, last time, um, we read about the start, the beginning of the story of Halo. Well, where it originated, essentially. We discovered that we essentially saw that Halsey and Keys were the two prominent figures to scout out the children's that would be abducted for the Spartan 2 programs. We've seen the harsh reality of what the children's age 6, the 6-year-old children's, the 75 candidates of the Spartan 2 programs went through, from the harsh reality of you can't do this alone, you have to work as a team, to essentially the point where we are now, which is the augmentations. The 5 major augmentations of the Spartan program, which nearly killed like half of them, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Let me just check. I think some of them have been put like in cryo sleep until they can be performed on. Others have been given desk job because their body is so morphed that they can barely survive. They can barely move or do anything besides like a pen pushing job, which is kind of horrible. But Oni is fucking disgusting when you know what they are. So who's the real monster here? But yeah, what the last chapter that we read was how John was a bit confused about how his perception of his training in the gym was. And he, I believe, killed 2 people in a ring because they decide to fuck around and find out. So we're gonna start with a few entries of the Halsey's journal before we move on to the book itself. We went over the essential failure from April 1st, 2025, and how Halsey felt guilty of not having a higher success rate for the augmentations. And also her dilemma of how would they realize that, how the Spartan would realize to their comrade's resurrection should they're able to revert the damage they caused to them. But human body don't really work that like, my dear. Now, June 27th, 25, from Dr. Halsey's journal. Planning is underway for experimental surgery, therapies, rehabilitations for more than 80% of the augmentation washout. Several of these protocols may take years to complete. As predicted, AI predicts a survival rate of no greater than 50%. But I suspect the Spartans' wills to serve, to live again, will radically boost that percentage. They've always exceeded my expectation. Fucking. There you go. Now we move on to June 28th, 2525, from Halsey's Journal. This is my last official day at Cam Hadcock. The powers that be at Fleetcom offer me a corner suit in the Olympic Tower. Difficult environment to work in. Surely not their goal. Castle Base is my new home until further notice. June 30th, 2525. From Halsey's Journal. It's been 4 months since we sent the prototype to NavSpec Web for evaluation. I was shocked to learn today that limited run production is approved. I was led to believe that the decision would be hopelessly mired in military bureaucracy for at least another 3 months. Must follow up with my source on what prompted our military collective to make such a prompt decision. Can't be good news. A test case file was unwittingly attached to the official response. Some poor network jockey left a partial routing code in the gutter of one file that was trivial to backtrack through NavSpec Web's firewalls. Clearly, the file was never meant for my eyes, as it seems certain brass sycophants wanted to discredit my theories by actually putting a volunteer into the prototype suit. You guys know. Let's think. This prototype is made literally for an augmented Spartan and not for the common folk. What the fuck do you think would happen to a normal person? Oh. Lamentably, they ignored my emphatic warning about the reactive circuitry being fine-tuned for augmented Spartans with reflexes and strength far beyond human norm. When the suit was activated, oh, this will be good. Listen closely. When the suit was activated, the volunteer's first muscular twitch was amplified via the positive feedback loop. Without the proper physiology and training to compensate, the feedback increased in amplitude and frequency until, in the words of one witness, the poor bastard ricocheted like a rubber ball, broke several bones, snapped his spine in 3 different places. I had specific safety measures to handle this precise situation, and I will find out which idiot failed to enable all the monitors. Near perfect. There is a small like drawing on this thing, which essentially describes the near perfect fractal geometry, the Sierpinski pattern advantage. A. Selective, finely tuned E with an arrow application. Scaling and automatic annealing to lowest potential energy. It's a lot of technical shit without you guys having a visual. But essentially, if I move to the camera real quick, yep, it's a lot of bullshit. Essentially, lot of stuff, you know. Kato. All right, September 1st, 2525. From the Halsey's Journal. Applying the new liquid metal crystal version of the polymerized lithium niobicene, bicene, unlike its non-liquid counterpart. This material is amorphous, which circumvents a major engineering obstacle. Custom fitting millions of individual polygonal pieces under the second armor layer. We merely pour it into a capillary system where microelectric fields can direct crystallization geometry. LMCPZ material scale fractally to double the wearer's strength over a superior range of motion. I can exceed this. Archaic safety regulations can be damned. They never anticipated this technology, in parentheses. Disadvantage. Manufacturing processes involve classified super toxic precursor materials and require a zero gravity environment. Thank you for the hydrate. Coupled with extreme needs for secrecy, these factors have led me to pick the orbital material testing facility dubbed Damascus near Chai Seti 4. I'm relocating the materials group there. I'm ambivalent though. Part of me wish I could relocate as well to oversee every detail, but the next phase of the AI program requires my intimate involvement. Did not expect the separation anxiety to be so strong. I guess not hearing her cry wakes me up at night too. Who could she be referring to? And now we are caught up in the Halsey's journal, and it's time to move on to the book. Chapter 8. 0930 hours, September 11, 2525. Epsilon Eridani System, Reach UNSC Military Complex, on the planet Reach. Let me just put myself like in a comfortable position. Dr. Halsey reclined in Mendez's padded chair. She considered pilfering one of the Sweet Williams cigars from the box on his desk. See why he considered them such a treat. The stench wafting from the box, however, was too overwhelming. How did he stand them? The door opened, and CPO Mendez halted in the doorway. Ma'am, he said, and stood straighter. I wasn't informed that you would be visiting today. In fact, I had understood that you were out of the system for another week. I would have made arrangements. I'm sure you would have. She folded her hands in her laps. Our situation has changed. Where are my Spartans? They are not in their barracks, nor on any of the range. Mendez hesitated. They can no longer train here, ma'am. We have had to find them other facilities. Dr. Halsey stood and smoothed the pleats in her gray skirt. Maybe you should explain that statement, Chief. I could, he replied, but it will be easier to show you. Very well, Dr. Halsey said. Her curiosity piqued. Mendez escorted her to his personal warthog, parked outside his office. The all-terrain combat vehicle had been refitted. The heavy chain gun on the back had been removed and replaced with a rack of Argent 5 missiles. Mendez drove them off the base and onto winding mountain roads. Reach was first colonized for its rich titanium deposits, Mendez told her. There are mines in these mountains, thousands of meters deep. The UNSC uses them for storage. I presume you do not have my Spartans taking inventory today, Chief. No, ma'am. We just need the privacy. Mendez drove the Warthog past a man guardhouse and into a large tunnel that slopped steeply underground. The road wound down in a spiral, deeper in solid granite. Mendez said, "Do you remember the Navy's first experiment with powered exoskeleton?" "I'm not sure I see the connection between this place, my Spartans, and the exoskeleton projects," Dr. Halsey replied, frowning. "But I'll play along a bit further. Yes, I know all about the Mark I prototypes. We had to scrap the concept and redesign battle armor from the ground up for the Mjolnir project. The Mark Is consume enormous energy. Either they had to be plugged into a generator or use inefficient broadcast power. Neither option is practical on the battlefield." Let me just move this away. There you go. Mendez decelerated slightly as he approached a speed bump. The Warthog's massive tire thud over the obstacle. "They used the units that weren't scrapped," Dr. Halsey continued, "as dock loaders to move heavy equipment." She cocked one my arrow. "Or might they have been dumped in a place like this? There are dozens of these suits here. You haven't put my Spartans in some of those antiques." "No, their trainers are using them for their own safety," Mendez replied. "When the Spartan recovered from microgravity therapy, they were eager to get back to their routine. However, we experienced some," he paused, searching for the right word, "difficulties." He glanced at his passenger. His face was grim. Their first day back, 3 trainers were accidentally killed during hand-to-hand combat exercise. Dr. Halsey cocked an eyebrow. "Then they are faster and stronger than we anticipated." That would be understating the situation. The tunnel opened into a large cavern. There were lights scattered on the wall, overhead 100 meters up on the ceiling and along the floor, but they did little to dissipate the overwhelming darkness. Mendez parked the Warthog next to a small, prefabricated building. He jumped out and helped Dr. Halsey step from the vehicle. "This way, please." Mendez gestured to the room. "We'll have a better view from inside." The building had 3 glass walls, and several monitors marked motion, infrared, Doppler, and passive. Mendez pushed a button, and the room climbed a track along the wall until they were 20 meters off the floor. Mendez keyed a microphone and spoke, "Lights." Floodlights snapped on and illuminated a section of the cavern the size of a football field. In the center stood a concrete bunker. 3 men in the primitive Mark I power armor stood on top. 6 more stood evenly paced around the perimeter. A red banner had been planted in the center of the bunker. "Capture the flag?" Dr. Alzi asked. "Past all that heavy armor?" "Yes. The trainers in those exoskeleton can run at 32 km per hour, lift 2 tons, and have a 30 millimeter minigun mounted on self-targeting armature. Stun rounds, of course. They're also equipped with the latest motion sensors and IR scopes. And needless to say, their armor is impervious to standard light weapons." It would take 2 or 3 platoons of conventional Marines to take that bunker. Mendez spoke again in the microphone, and his voice echoed off the cavern walls. Start the drill. 60 seconds ticked by. Nothing happened. 120 seconds. Where are the Spartans? Dr. Alzi asked. They're here, Mendez replied. Dr. Halsey caught a glimpse of motion in the dark. A shadow against shadow. A familiar silhouette. Kelly? The trainer turned and fired at the shadow, but it moved with almost supernatural quickness. Even the self-targeting system couldn't track it. From above, a man free-rappelled down from the girder in gantries overhead. The newcomer landed behind one of the perimeter guards, quiet as a cat. He punched the guard's armor twice, denting the heavy plate, then dropped low and swept the target's leg out from under him. The guard sprawled on the ground. The Spartan attached his rappelling line to the trainer. A moment later, the writhing guard shot upward into the darkness. 2 other guards turned to attack. The Spartan dodged, rolled, and melted into the shadows. Dr. Halsey realized the trainer's exoskeleton wasn't being pulled up. It was being used as a counterweight. 2 more Spartans, dangling from the other end of that rope, dropped unnoticed into the center of the bunker. Thank you for hydrate. Hi, Rat.
にゃにゃめにゃにゃじゅうにゃにゃどのにゃらびてにゃくにゃくいにゃにゃくにゃにゃはんにゃにゃだいにゃんにゃくにゃらべてにゃがにゃがめ
I forgot to turn those off. Sorry. Dr. Halsey immediately recognized one of them. Although he was dressed entirely in black, save his open eyelets, number 117, John. John landed, braced, and kicked one guard. The man landed in a heap, 8 meters away. The other Spartan jumped off the bunker. He flipped end over end, evading the stun round that filled the air. He threw himself at the farthest guard, and they skid together into the shadows. The guard's guns strobed once, and then it was dark again. On top of the bunker, John was a blur of slashing motions. A second guard's exosuit erupted in a fountain of hydraulic fluid. And then the man collapsed under the armor's weight. The last guard on the bunker turned to fire at John. Halsey's gripped the edge of her chair. He's at point blank range. Even stun rounds can kill at that distance. As the guard guns fired, John sidestepped. The stun round slashed through the air, a clean miss. John grabbed the weapon's armature, twisted, and with a screech of stressed metal, wrenched it free of the exoskeleton. He fired directly into the man's chest and sent him tumbling off the bunker. The remaining quartet of perimeter guards turned and sprayed the area with suppression fire. A heartbeat later, the lights went out. Mendez cursed and keyed the mic. Backups! Hit the backups light now! A dozen ember floods flickered to life. Not a Spartan was in sight, but the 9 trainers were either unconscious or lay immobile in inert battle armor. The red flag was gone. Show me that again, Dr. Halsey said unbelievingly. You recorded all that, didn't you? Of course. Mendez tapped a button, but the monitors played back static. Damn it. They got to the cameras too, he muttered, impressed. Every time we find a new place to hide them, they disable the recording devices. Dr. Halsey leaned against the glass wall, staring at the carnage below. Very well, Chief Mendez. What else do I need to know? Your Spartan can run at burst of up to 55 kilometers per hour, or kph. He explained. Kelly can run a little faster, I think. They will only get quicker as they adjust to the alterations we've made to their bodies. They can lift 3 times their body weight, which, I might add, is almost double the norm due to their increased muscle density. And they can virtually see in the dark. Dr. Halsey pondered this new data. They should not be performing so well. There must be unexplained synergetic effect brought on by the combined modifications. What are their reaction time? Almost impossible to chart. We estimate it at 20 milliseconds. Mendez replies. He shook his head, then added, I believe it's significantly faster in combat situation when their adrenaline is pumping. Any physiological or mental instabilities? None. They work like no team I've ever seen before. Damn near telepathic, if you ask me. They were dropped in these caves yesterday, and I don't know where they got black suits or the rope for that maneuver, but I can guarantee they haven't left this room. They improvise and improve and adapt. And, he added, they like it. The tougher the challenge, the harder the fight, the better their morale becomes. Dr. Halsey watched as the first trainer steered and struggled to get out of his inert armor. They might have well they might as well have been killed. But what can the Spartan kill? But can the Spartan kill, Chief? Kill on purpose? Are they ready for real combat? Mendez looked away and paused before he spoke. Yes, if we ordered them to, they would kill quite efficiently. His body stiffened. May I ask what real combat you mean, ma'am? She clasped her hand and wrung them nervously. Something has happened, Chief. Something Oni and the Admiralty never expected. The brass wants to deploy the Spartan. They want to test them in a real combat mission. They're as ready for that as I can make them, Mendez said. He narrowed his dark eyes. But this is far ahead of your schedule. What happened? I've heard rumors there was some heavy action near Harvest Colony. Your rumors are out of date, Chief, she said, and a chill crept into her voice. There's no more fighting at Harvest. There is no more Harvest. Dr. Halsey punched the descent button, and the observation room slowly lowered to the floor. Get them out of this hole, she said. I want them ready to muster at 0400. We have a briefing at 0600 tomorrow aboard the London. We're taking them on a mission Oni has been saving for the right crew and the right time. This is it. Yes, ma'am. Tomorrow, we see if all the pains they've been through has been worth it. I will be right back. Sorry about that. My bowels do not like me today. Anyway, so so shit is starting to get real. By the way, it is fucking the end of this chapter of Halsey saying that there is no more harvest. We know what happened. We know what this means, but it is something, right? Now we've also seen that the Spartans, the Spartan 2 are way more efficient than what they initially thought they would be. And they literally had to use antique armor just so they just so they can literally be like nearly on par with them, but that's not even enough as we've seen. So now we're going to be seeing the next step of this of how fucking broken Spartan 2 are. Chapter 9 from the Fall of Reach book. 0605, September 12th, 2525. UNSC Destroyer Pioneer. En route to Eridanus system. John and the other Spartan stood at ease. The briefing room aboard the UNSC Destroyer Pioneer made him uncomfortable. The holographic projectors at the forehand of the triangular room showed the field of stars visible off the bow of the ship. John wasn't used to seeing so much space. He kept expecting the room to decompress explosively. The stars flickered and faded and the overhead light warmed. Chief Petty Officer Mendez and Dr. Halsey entered the room. The Spartan snapped to attention. At ease, Mendez said. He clasped his hands behind his back and clenched his jaw muscles. The chief looked almost nervous. That made John nervous too. Dr. Halsey walked to the podium. The overhead light reflected off her glass. And keep in mind that they're still 14 years old, by the way. Very important, by the way. They are 14. Dr. Halsey walked to the podium. The overhead light reflected off her glasses. Good morning, Spartans. I have good news for you. The word has come down. Command has decided to test your unique abilities. You have a new mission, an insurgent base in the Eridanus system. A star map appeared on the wall and zoomed in to show a warm orange sun ringed with 12 planets. In 2513, an armed insurrection in this system was suppressed by the UNSC force, Operation Trebuchet. An intersystem tactical map appeared, and tiny icons representing destroyers and carriers winked on. They engaged a force of 100 smaller ships. Pinpoints of fire appeared against the dark. The insurrection was put down, Dr. Halsey continued. However, elements of the rebel force escaped and regrouped in the local asteroid belt. The map tilted and moved into the circle of debris around the stars. Billions of rocks, Dr. Halsey said, where they hid from our forces and continue to hide to this day. For some time, Oni believed that the rebels were disorganized and were lacking in leadership. That appears to have changed. We believe that one of these asteroids has been hollowed out and that a formidable base has been constructed within. UNSC exploration into the belt have met either with no contact or with an ambush by superior forces. She paused, pushed up her glass, and added, the Office of Naval Intelligence has also confirmed that FleetCom has discovered a security breach within their organization. A rebel sympathizers leaking information to these forces. John and the other Spartans shift uneasily. A leak? It was possible. Deja has shown them many historical battles that had been won and lost because of traitors or informants. But it never occurred to him that it could happen in the UNSC. A flat picture flashed over the star map. A middle-aged man with thinning hair, a neatly trimmed beard, and watery gray eyes. This is their leader, Colonel Robert Watts. The original photo was taken after Operation Trebuchet and has been computer aged. Generative AI, folks. You gotta love it. Your mission is to infiltrate the rebel base, capture Watts, and return him alive and unarmed to UNSC control space. This will deprive the rebels of their new leadership and will provide only a chance to interrogate Watts and root out traitors within FleetCom. Dr. Halsey stepped aside. Chief Mendez? Mendez exhaled and unclasped his hands. He strode to the podium and cleared his throat. This operation will be different from your previous missions. You will be engaging the enemy using live rounds and lethal force. They will be returning the favor. If there is any doubt, any confusion, and make no mistake, in combat, there will be confusion. Take no chances. Kill first, ask question later. Support on this mission will be limited to the resources and firepower of this destroyer. This is to minimize the chance of a leak in the command structure. Mendez walked to the star map. The face of Colonel Watts snapped off, and blueprints for a Parabola-class freighter appeared. Although we don't know the location of the rebel base, we believe they receive periodic shipments from Eridanus II. The independent freighter Latin is due to leave the space docks in 6 hours for a routine recertification of her engine. She has been loaded with enough food and water to supply a small city. Additionally, her captain has been identified as a rebel officer thought to have been killed during Operation Trebuchet. You will slip aboard this freighter and hopefully hitch a ride to the rebel base. Once there, infiltrate the installation, grab Watts, and get off of that rock any way you can. Chief Mendez gazed at all of them. Questions? Sir, John said, what are our extractions options? You have 2 options. A panic button that will relay a distress signal to a pre-established listening ship. Also, the Pioneer will stay on station, briefly. Our window here is 13 hours. He tapped the star map on the edge of the asteroid belt, and it glowed with a blue nav marker. I lost my where I was. I'll leave the extraction choice up to you, but let me point out that this asteroid belt has a circumference of more than 1 billion kilometers, making it impossible to canvass with only surveillance craft. If things get hot, you will be on your own. Any other questions? The Spartan sat, silent and immobile. No? Well, listen up, recruits. This time, I've told you all the twists that I know of. Be prepared for anything. His gaze fixed on John. Squad leader, You are hereby promoted to the rank of Petty Officer Third Class. Sir! John snapped to attention. Assemble your team and equipment. Be ready to muster at 0300. We'll drop you off at the Eridanus 2 dock. You're on your own from there. Yes, sir! Mendez salute. He and Dr. Halsey then left the room. John turned to face his teammate. The other Spartans stood at attention. 32. Too many for this operation. He needed a small team, 5 or 6 maximum. We went from 75 Spartan to 32, by the way. That is how many survive the augmentations. Well, perfectly survived. The rest, well, either dead, frozen, or reassigned to desk work with severe pain. Sam, Kelly, Linda, and Fred meet me in the weapons locker in 10 minutes. The other Spartans sighed and their gaze dropped to the deck. The rest of you fall out. You'll have the more difficult part of this mission. You'll have to wait here. And here, we see the creation of Blue Team. Enter Blue Team. The real one. The weapons locker of the Pioneer, had been stocked with a bewildering array of combat equipment. On the table were guns, knives, communication gear, body armor explosive, medical pack, survival gear, portable computers, even a thruster pack for maneuvering in space. More important than the equipment, however, John assessed his team. The timing on this fucking music. Sam had recovered from the augmentation faster than any of the other Spartans. He paced impatiently around the crates of grenades. He was the strongest of them all. He stood taller than John by a head. He had grown out of his sandy hair to 3 centimeters. Chief Mendez had warned him that he was going to look like a civilian soon. Kelly, in contrast, had taken the longest to recover. She stood in the corner with her arm crossed over her chest. John had thought she wasn't going to make it. She was still gaunt and her hair had yet to grow back. Her face, however, still had its rough, angular beauty. She scared John a little, too. She was fast before. Now, no one could touch her if she didn't allow it. Fred sat cross-legged on the deck, twirling a razor-edged combat knife in glittering arc. He always came in second in all the contests. John thought he could have come in first, but he just didn't like the attention. He was neither too short nor too tall. He wasn't overly muscled or slim. His black hair was shot with streak of silver, a feature he hadn't had before the augmentation. If anyone in the group could blend into a crowd, it would be him. Linda was the quietest member of the group. She was pale, had close-cropped red hair, and green eyes. She was a crack shot, an artist with a sniper rifle. Kelly circled the table once, and then selected a pair of grease-stained blue coveralls. Her name has been sloppily embroidered on the chest. These are our new trainees' uniforms. Oni provide them, John said. They're supposed to match what the crew of the Laden wears. Kelly held the coveralls up and frowned. They don't give a girl much to work with. Try this on for a size. Linda held a black bodysuit up to Kelly's long, slender frame. They had used these black suits before. 14, by the way. 14. They were form-fitting, lightweight polymer body armor. They could deflect a small caliber round and had refrigeration/heating units that could mask infrared signatures. The integrated helmet had encryption and communication gears, a heads-up display, and thermal and motion detector. Sealed tight, the unit had a 15-minute reserve of oxygen to let the wearer survive in a vacuum. The suits were uncomfortable, and they were tricky to repair in the field, and they always needed repairs. They're too tight, Kelly said. It'll limit my range of motion. We wear them from this up, John told her. There are too many places between here and there with nothing to breathe but vacuum. As for the rest of your equipment, take what you want, but stay light. Without recon data on this place, we're going to be moving fast, or we'll be dead. The team started selecting their weapons first. 390 caliber? Fred asked. Yes, John replied. Everyone take guns that uses 3.390 caliber ammunition, so we can share clips if we have to. Except Linda. Linda! Linda. 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 Sorry. Sorry about that. Every time I hear the name Linda, it just reminds me of a lot of funny shit. Okay. All right. Linda gravitated to a matte black long-barreled rifle, the SRS 99C S2 AM. Linda, listen. The SRS 99C S2 anti-material, or AM. The sniper rifle system had modular section, scope, stock, barrel, even the firing mechanism could be swapped. She quickly stripped the rifle down and reconfigured it. She assembled a flash and sound suppression barrel, and then to compensate for the lower muzzle velocity, she increased the ammunition caliber to .450. She ditched all the sight and scope and settled for an integrated link for her helmet's heads-up display. She pocketed 5 extended ammunition clips. John also chose an MA2B, a cut-down version of the standard MA5B assault rifle. It was tough and reliable, with electronic targeting and an ammo supply indicator. High-legged. It also had a recoil reduction system and could deliver an impressive 15 rounds per second. That's no, like she completely rebuilt the gun from ground up. That means she changed the barrel as well. She changed literally everything, basically. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's the future after all. The future. The future. 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 That's some Fallout 4 logic, though. Yeah. Future. The future. The future. Anyway. Let me just pop my back real quick. Right, this. I'm just readjusting myself. The blanket and everything. Yeah. Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, Tommy. Pretty much. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, I did add all the missing books on my throne. For those of you who were wondering, because I double check with all the books I have. Surprisingly, I have one in double. I have a double book here. But yeah, all the books I'm missing, I added them to throne to keep track of. And there's a lot, and I mean a lot of shit. We're gonna be reading these things for like a few years, by the way, before I finish them all. But hey, I'm here to stay. I'm not stopping streaming anytime soon. After farting out the suppressor from your ass. Well, like to be fair, she is in an armory where she can literally configure her equipment. She's not on the field right now. She's in the armory of the UNSC Destroyer Pioneer. Okay. He picked up a knife, 20 centimeter blade, one serrated edge, non-reflective titanium carbide, and balanced for throwing. John grabbed the panic button. A tiny single-shot emergency beacon. It had two settings. The red setting alerted the Pioneer that it had hit the fan and to come in gun blazing. The green merely marked the location of the base for later assault by the UNSC. Keep in mind, this was 2001 when you literally couldn't just Google shit. True. Because the original publishing date of this book is up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. I would need to look it up. Normally they print it out like in the first page, but I guess they haven't done so. Unless I'm not seeing it, but you know, whatever. Anyway. Alright. He took a double handful of ammo clips, then paused. He set them down and pocketed 5. If they got into a firefight where they'd need that much firepower, their mission was over anyway. Everyone took similar equipment, with a few variations. Kelly selected a small computer pad with IR links. She also had their field medical kit. Fred packed a standard issue lock breaker. Linda selected 3 nav marker transmitter, each the size of a tick. The tracker could be adhered to an object and would broadcast the object's location to the Spartan's heads-up display. Sam had 2 medium-sized backpack damage packs. They were filled with C12, enough high explosive to blow through 3 meters of battleship armor plates. You have enough of that stuff? Kelly asked him wearily. You think I should take more? Sam replied and smiled. Nothing like a little firework to celebrate the end of a mission. Everyone ready? John asked. Sam's smiles disappeared and he slapped an extended clip into his MA2B. Ready. Kelly gave John a thumbs up. Fred and Linda nod. Then let's go to work. (12:10) September 14, 2525. Aerodennis System Space Dock. Civilian cargo ship Aladdin. Registry number F0980W. Gonna take water first. All right. Spartan 117 in position. Nest check-in at 0400. John clicked off the microphone. encrypted the message, and fed it into his comm relay. He triggered a secure burst transmission to the Athens, the only prowler ship on station a few AUs distant. He and his teammate climbed onto the upper girder in silence. The team rigged a web of support nets so they could rest in relative comfort. Below them lay 100,000 liters of black water, and surrounding them, 2 centimeters of stainless steel. Sam Rail rigged the fill sensor so the reservoir's computer wouldn't let any more water flow into the storage tank. Hang on. Okay. I see what he did. I see what he did. The lights in their helmets cast a pattern of crossing and crisscrossing reflection lines. A perfect hiding spot, all according to plan, John thought, and allowed himself a small grin of triumph. The tech spec that Oni had procured on Aladdin showed a number of hydroponics pods mounted around the ship's carousel system. Something not uncommon for this class. The massive water tanks used gravity feed to irrigate the ship's space-grown crops. Perfect. They had easily slipped past the lone guard in the Layden's main cargo bay and into the nearly deserted center section. The water tank would mask their thermal signature and block any motion sensors. The only risky element entered the picture if the center section stopped spinning. Things could get very messy inside the tank. Very fast. But John thought that would happen. For real, I was in the sixth grade. You were most likely searching via AOL or whatever browser search engine you use, Netscape. I was I was 7. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I've been through that as well. Kelly set up a tiny microwave relay outside the top hatch. She propped her data pad on her stomach and linked to the ship's network. I'm in, she reported. There's no AI or serious encryptions. Accessing their systems now. She tapped the pad a few more times and activated the intrusion software, the best that Oni could provide. A moment later, the pad pulsed to indicate success. They got a nav trajectory to the asteroid belt. ETA is 10 hours. Good work, John said. Team, will sleep in shift. Sam, Fred, and Linda snapped up their flashlight. The tank reverberated as the Aladdin's engine flared to life. The water tilted as they accelerated away from the orbital docking stations. John remembered Eridanus too, vaguely recalled that it once was home. He wondered if his old school, his family, were still there. He squelched his curiosity. Speculation made for a fine mental exercise. But the mission came first. He had to stay alert. Or failing that, grab some sleep so he would be alert when he needed to be. Chief Mendez must have told them 1,000 times, rest can be as deadly a weapon as a pistol or grenade. I've got something. Or rather, I've got something, she whispered, and handed her data pad. It displayed the cargo manifest for the Aladdin. John scrolled down the list. Water, floor, milk, frozen orange juice, welding rod, superconducting magnets for a fusion reactor. No mentions of weapons. I give up, he said. What am I looking for? I'll give you a hint, Ted replied. The chief smoke steps. John flicked back through the list. There, Sweet William's cigars. Next to them on the manifest was a crate of champagne, a Proxion vintage, There were fast chill New York steaks and Swiss chocolates. These items were stored in a secure locker. They had the same routing code. Luxury item, Kelly murmured. I bet they're headed straight for a special delivery to Colonel Watts or his officers. Good work, John replied. We'll tag this stuff and follow it. Won't be that easy, Fred said from the darkness. He flicked on his flashlight and peered back at John. There are there are a million ways this can go wrong. We're going in without recon. I don't like it. We only have one advantage on this mission, John said. The rebel have never been infiltrated. They'll feel relatively safe and won't be expecting us. But every extra second we stay, that's another chance for us to be spotted. We'll follow Kelly's hunch. You questioning orders? Sam asked Fred. Scared? There was a slight hint of challenge in his voice. Fred thought for a moment. No. But this is no training mission. Our targets won't be firing stun rounds. I just don't want to fail. We're not going to fail, John told him. We've accomplished every mission we've been on before. That wasn't entirely true. The augmentation mission had wiped out half of the Spartan. They weren't invincible. Oh, John. Tisk, 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 tisk. It was a mission, maybe. For you. For us, it was just, what the fuck? But John wasn't scared. A little nervous, maybe. But he was ready. Rotate sleep cycles. Wake me up in 4 hours. He turned over and quickly nodded off to the sound of the sloshing water. He dreamed of Grav Ball and the coin spinning in the air. John caught it and yelled, Eagle! As he won again. He always won. Kelly nudged John's shoulder, and he was instantly awake, hand on his assault rifle. We're decelerating, she whispered, and pointed her light into the water below. The liquid tilted at a 20-degree inclination. Light off, John ordered. They were plunged in total darkness. He popped the hatch and snaked the fiber optic probe attached to his helmet through the crack. All clear. They climbed out, then rappelled down the back of the 10-meter tall tank. They donned their grease-stained coveralls and removed their helmets. The black suit looks a little bulky beneath the work clothes, but the disguise will hold up to a cursory inspection. With their weapons and gears in duffel bags, they'd pass as crew from a distance. They crept through a deserted corridor and into the cargo bay. They heard a million tiny metallic pings as gravity settled on the ship. The Nylund must be docking to a spinning station or a rotating asteroid. The cargo bay was a huge room, stacked to its ceiling with barrels and crates. There were massive tanks of oil. Automated robot forklifts scurried between rows, checking for items that might have come loose in transit. There was a terrific clang as a docking clamp grabbed the ship. Cigars are this way, Kelly whispered. She consulted the data pad, then tucked it back into her pocket. They moved out, clinging to the shadows. They stopped every few meters, listened, and made sure their field of fire were clear. Kelly held up a hand and made a fist. She pointed to the secure hatch on the starboard side of the hold. John signaled Fred and Kelly and motioned them to go forward. Fred used the lockbreaker on the door and it popped open. They entered and closed it behind them. John, Sam, and Linda waited. There was a sudden motion, and the Spartans snapped their weapons to firing position. A robot forklift passed down an adjacent aisle. The massive aft door of the cargo hold parted with a hiss. Light spilled into the hold. A dozen dock workers dressed in coverall entered. John gripped his MA2B tighter. One man looked down the aisle where they crouched in the shadows. He stopped, paused. John raised his weapon slowly, his hand steady and sight on the man's chest. Always shoot for center mass, Mendez had barked during weapon trainings. The man stood, stretched his back, and moved on, whistling quietly to himself. Fred and Kelly returned, and Kelly opened and closed her hand, palm out. She had placed the marker. John grabbed his helmet from his duffel bag and slipped it on. He pinged the navigation marker and saw the blue triangle flash once on his head-up display. He returned Kelly's thumbs up and removed the helmet. John stowed his helmet and MA2B and motioned for the rest of the team to do the same. They casually walked out of the Ladin's aft cargo hold and onto the rebel base. The docking bay was hewn from solid rock. The ceiling stretched a kilometer high. Bright light overhead effectively illuminated the place, looking like tiny suns in the sky. There were hundreds of ships docked within the cavern. Tiny single crafts, Mako-class corvettes, cargo freighter, and even a captured UNSC Pelican dropship. Each craft was held by massive cranes that traveled on railroad tracks. The tracks led towards a series of large airlocks door. That's how the Ladin must have gotten inside. There were people everywhere. Workers and men in Cripp's wife's uniform. John's first instinct was to seek cover. Every one of them was a potential threat. He wished he had his gun in hand. He remained calm and strode among these strangers. He had to set the right example for his team. If his recent encounter with the ODSTs in the gym of the Atlas had been any indication, he knew his team wouldn't interact well with the natives. John made his way past dock workers and robotic tram full of cargo and vendors selling roast meat on stick. Hi, Reckless! He walked towards a set of double doors set in the far rock wall, marked public showers. He pushed through and didn't look back. The place was almost empty. One man was singing in the shower, and there were two rebel officers undressing near the towel dispensers. John led his team to the most distant corner of the locker room and hunked down on one of the benches. Linda sat with her back to them, on lookout duty. So far, so good. John whispered, "This will be our fallback position if everything falls apart and we get separated." Sam nodded. "Okay. We have a lead on how to find the colonel. Anyone have any idea how to get off this rock when we grab him back into the Ladin's water tank?" "Too slow," Kelly said. "We've got to assume that when Colonel Watts goes missing, his people are going to look for him." "There was a Pelican on the dock," John said. "We'll take it. Now let's figure out how to operate the cranes and airlocks." Sam hefted his pack of explosive. "I know just the way to politely knock on those airlocks' door. Don't worry." Sam tapped his left foot. He only did that when he was eager to move. Fred's hands were clenched to fist. He might be nervous, but he had it under control. Kelly yawned, and Linda sat absolutely still. They were ready. John got his helmet, donned it, and checked the nav marker. "Bearing 320, he said. "It's on the move." He picked up his gear, and so are we. They left the showers and strode through the dock, past massive drop doors and into a city. This part of the asteroid looked like a canyon carved into the rock. John could barely make out the ceiling far overhead. There were skyscrapers, an apartment building, factories, and even a small hospital. John ducked into an alley, slipped on his helmet, and pinpointed the blue nav marker. It overlay a cargo tram that silently rolled down the street. There were three armed guards riding in the back. The Spartans followed at a discreet distance. John checked his exit route. Too many peoples and too many unknowns. Were the people here armed? Would they all engage its fighting start? A few of the people gave him strange looks. Spread out, he whispered to the team. We look like we're on the parade ground. Kelly stepped up her pace and pulled ahead. Sam fell behind. Fred and Linda drifted to the right and left. The cargo tram turned and made its way slowly through a crowded street. It stopped at a building. The structure was 12 stories tall, with balconies on every floor. John guessed these were the barracks. There were two armed guards in white uniform at the front entrance. The three men in the tram got out and carried the crate inside. Kelly glanced at John. He nodded, giving her the go-ahead. She approached the two guards, smiling. John knew her smile wasn't friendly. She was smiling because she was finally getting a chance to put her training to the test. Kelly waved to the guards and pulled open the door. He asked her to stop and show her identification. She stepped inside, grabbed his rifle, twisted and grabbed him inside with her. The other guard stepped back and leveled his rifle. John sprang at him from behind, grabbed his neck and snapped it, then dragged his limp body inside. Kill number one. The entry room had cinder blocks walls and a steel door with a swipe card lock. A security camera dangled limply over Kelly's head. The guard she had dragged in lay at her feet. She was already running a cracking program on the lock using a datapad. John retrieved his MA2B and covered her. Fred and Linda entered and slipped out of their coveralls, then donned their helmets. Nav marker is moving, Linda reported. Mark 270, elevation 10 meter, 20, 35, and holding. I'd say that's the top floor. Sam entered, pulled the door shut behind him, and then jammed the lock. All clear out there. The inner door clicked. Doors open, Kelly said. John, Kelly, and Slam slipped out of their coverall as Fred and Linda covered them. John activated the motion and thermal display in his helmet. The target sight glowed as he raised MA2B. Go, John said. Kelly pushed open the door. Linda stepped in, and to the right, John entered and took the left. Two guards were seated behind the lobby's reception desk. Another man, without a uniform, stood in front of the desk, waiting to be helped. Two more uniformed men stood by the elevator. Linda shot the three near the desk. John eliminated the target by the elevator. 5 rounds, 5 bodies hit the floor. Fred entered and policed the bodies, dragging them behind the counter. Kelly moved to the stairwell, opened the door, and gave the all-clear signal. The elevator pinged, and its door opened. They all wheeled, rifle leveled, but the car was empty. John exhaled, then motioned them to take the stairs. Kelly took point. Sam brought up the rear. They silently went up 9 double flight of stairs. They silently went up 9 double flight of stairs. Kelly halted on an upper landing. She pointed to the interior of the building, then pointed up. John detected faint blurs of heat on the 12th floor. They'd have to pick up a better route, a way in that no one would expect. John opened the door. There was an empty hallways, no targets. He went to the elevator doors and pried them open. Then he turned on his black suit's cooling element to mask his thermal signatures. The others did the same. and faded from his thermal imaging display. John and Sam climbed up the elevator cable. John glanced down, a 30-meter plunge into darkness. He might survive that fall. His bone wouldn't break, but there would be internal damage, and it would certainly compromise their mission. He tightened his grip on the cable and didn't look down again. When they had climbed up the last 3 floors, they braced themselves in the corners by the closed elevator door. Kelly and Fred snaked up the cable after them. They braced in the far corner to overlap their field of fire. Linda came up last. She climbed as far as she could, hooked her foot on a cross brace, and hung upside down. John held up 3 fingers, 2, then 1, and then he and Sam silently pulled open the elevator doors. There were 5 guards standing in the room. They wore light body armor and helmets and carried older model HMG 38 rifles. 2 of them turned. Kelly, Fred, and Linda opened fire. The walnut paneling behind the guard became pockmarked with bullet holes and was splattered with blood. The team slid inside the room, moving quickly and quietly. Sam policed the guards' weapons. There were 2 doors. One led to a balcony, the other featured a peephole. Kelly checked the balcony, then whispered over the channel in their helmet. This overlooks the alley between buildings. No activities. John checked the nav marker. The blue triangles flashed, a position directly behind the other door. I need water. Water, water, water. Sam and Fred flanked the door. John could get any reading or motion or thermals. The walls were shielded. There were too many unknowns and not enough time. The situation wasn't ideal. They knew there were at least 3 men inside. The one who had carried the crate upstairs, and there might be more guards. And to complicate the situation, their target had to be taken alive. John kicked the door in. He took in the entire situation at a glance. He was standing on the threshold of a sumptuous apartment. There was a wet bar boasting shelves of amber-filled bottles. A large, round bed dominated the corner, decorated with shimmering silk sheets. Windows on all sides had sheer white curtains. John's helmet automatically compensated for the glare. Red carpet covered the floor. The crate with the cigar and champagne sat in the center of the room. It was black and armored, sealed tight against the vacuum of space. There were 3 men standing behind the armored crate, and 1 man crouched behind them. Colonel Robert Watts, their package. John didn't have a clear shot. If he missed, he could hit the colonel. The 3 men, however, didn't have that problem. They fired. John dove to his left. He caught 3 rounds in his side, knocking the breath from his body. 1 bullet penetrated his black suit. He felt it ping off his rib, and pain slashed through him like a red-hot razor. First wound. He ignored the wound and rolled to his feet. He had a clear line of sight. He squeezed the trigger once. A 3-round burst caught the center guard in the forehead. Sam and Fred wheeled around the doorframe. Sam high, Fred low. Their silenced weapon cuffed, and the remaining pair of guard went down. What remained behind the crate? He brandished his pistol. Stop! He screamed. My men are coming! You think I'm alone? You're all dead! Drop your weapon! John crawled to the wet bar and crouched there. He willed the pain inside his stomach to go away. He signaled Sam and Fred and held up 2 fingers, then pointed a finger over his head. Sam and Fred fired a burst of rounds over Watts. He ducked. John vaulted over the bar and leaped onto his quarry. My men are coming. Dan, that's a good leader. Prioritizing morale. Yeah, yeah. He grabbed the pistol and wrenched it out of his hand, breaking the man's index finger and thumb. John snaked his arm around Watt's neck and choked the struggling man into near unconsciousness. Lucky. Kelly and Linda entered. Kelly took out a syringe and injected Watts. Enough polypseudomorphine to keep him sedated for the better part of a day. Fred fell back to cover the elevator. Sam entered and crouched by the windows, watching the street below for any sign of trouble. Kelly went to John and peeled back his black suit. Her gloves were slick with his blood. The bullet is still inside, she said, and bit her lower lip. There's a lot of internal bleeding. Hang on. She dug a tiny bottle from her belt and inserted the nozzle into a bullet hole. This might sting a little. The self-sealing biofoam filled John's abdominal cavity. It also stung like 100 ants crawling through his innards. She pulled the bottle out and taped up the hole. You're good for a few hours, she said, and then gave him a hand up. John felt shaky, but he'd make it. The foam would keep him from bleeding to death and stave off the shock. For a while, at least. Incoming vehicle, Sam announced. 6 men entering the building. 2 taking up positions outside, but just the front. Get our package inside that crate and seal it up, John ordered. He left the room, got his duffel, and went to the balcony. He secured a rope and tossed it down 12 stories into the alley. He rappelled down, took a second to scan the alley for threat, then clicked his stroke mic once, the all-clear signal. Kelly snapped a descent rig on the crate and pushed it off the balcony. It zipped down the line and thudded to a halt at the bottom. Oh, it's Halo. I thought the cover of a Steven Seagal book, Way of the Shadow Wolf. Hi, Mr. Donato. Hi. Welcome. How you doing? You having a good day? We're still into we're not halfway, but we're getting there. You having a good day? Buenos ding dong dilly dilly. Buenos ding dong diddy lias lidias. That's a tongue twister right there. I Where was I? Kelly snapped a descent rig on the crate and pushed it off the balcony. It zipped down the line and thudded to a halt at the bottom. A moment later, the rest of the team glided down the rope. They quickly donned their coveralls. Sam and Fred carried the crate as they entered the adjacent building. They exited on the street, a half block down, and walked as quickly as they could back to the docks. Dozens of uniformed men ran from the dock towards the city. No one challenged them. They re-entered the now deserted public showers. Everyone check your seals, John said. Sam, you go ring the doorbell. Meet us on the dropship. Sam nodded and sprinted out of the building. Both packs of C-12 looped around his shoulder. John took out the panic button. He triggered the green mode transmission and tossed it into an empty locker. If they didn't make it out, at least the UNSC fleet would know where to find the rebel base. Your suit is breached, Kelly reminded John. We better get to the ship now before Sam set off his fireworks. Linda and Fred checked the seals on the crate and then carried it out. Kelly took point and John brought up the rear. They boarded the Pelican dropship and John sized up her armaments, dented and charred armor, a pair of old, out-to-date 40mm chain guns. The rocket pods had been removed, not much of a warhorse. There was a flash of lightning at the far end of the dock. The thunder roiled through the deck and then through John's stomach. While John watched, a gaping hole materialized in the airlock doors amid a cloud of smoke. and shattered metal. Black space loomed beyond. With an ear-splitting roar, the atmosphere held in the dock abruptly transformed into a hurricane. People, crates, and debris were blasted out of the ragged tier. John pulled himself inside the dropship and prepared to seal the main hatch. He watched as emergency doors descended over the breech airlock. There was a second explosion, and the drop door paused, then fell and clattered to the deck, crushing a light transport vessel underneath. Behind them, large bay doors closed, sealing the docks off from the city. Dozens of workers still on the dock ran for their life but didn't make it. Sam sprinted across the deck, perfectly safe inside his sealed black suit. He cycled through the Pelican's emergency airlock. Back doors open, he said with a grin. Kelly fired up the engine. The Pelican lifted, maneuvered through the dock, and then out the blast hole into open space. She pushed the throttle to maximum burn. Behind them, the Insurgent base looked like any other rock in the asteroid belt. But this rock was venting atmosphere and starting to rotate erratically. After 5 minutes at full power, Kelly eased the engine back. "We'll hit the extraction point in 2 hours," she said. "Check on our prisoner," John said. Sam popped open the crate. "The seal's held. Watts is still alive and has a steady pulse." "Good." John grunted. He winced as the throbbing pain in his side increased. "Something bothering you?" Kelly asked. "How's that biofoam holding up?" "It's fine," he said without even looking at the hole in his side. "I'll make it." He knew he should feel elated, but instead he just felt tired. Something didn't sit right about the operation. He wondered about all the dead dock workers and civilians back there. None of them were designated targets, and yet, weren't they all rebel on that asteroid? On the other hand, it was like the chief said. He had followed his orders, complete his mission, and gotten his people out alive. What more did he want? John stuffed his doubt back in the back of his mind. "Nothing's wrong," he said, and squeezed Kelly's shoulder. John smiled. "What could be wrong? We won." All right, break time. I will be right back. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 doo dum da dum doo doo. Hi. I got chocolate. I got chocolate. All right. Are you ready to continue? Fuck. I just need one thing. Where did I put these things? Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. I do not see them. Did I kill myself? Fuck. Hi, Dragonite. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How you doing? Yeah. So we're now delving into chapter 11. 0600, November 2nd, 2525. Which means that, if I'm looking at this right, it's been almost 2 months. All good. Hope you're well too. Thank you. Yeah, I am well. I am well. We're continuing our read of The Fall of Reach today. Now, there's been 2 months that passed from the last chapter to this one. So 0600, November 2nd, 2525. Epsilon Eridanus System, Reach, United Military Complex, Planet Reach. John wondered who had died. The Spartan had been called to muster in their dress uniform only once before. Funeral details. The Purple Heart awarded to him after his last mission glistened on his chest. He made sure it was polished to a high sheen. It stood out against the black wool of his dress jacket. Occasionally, John would look at it and make sure it was still there. He sat in the third row of the amphitheater and faced the center platform. The other Spartans sat quietly on the concentric rings on risers. Spotlights flicked on the empty stage. He had been in Reach Secure's briefing chamber before. This is where Dr. Halsey had told them they were going to be soldiers. This is where his life had changed and he had been given a purpose. Chief Mendez entered the room and marched to the center platform. He too wore his black dress uniform as well. His chest was covered with silver and bronze stars, 3 Purple Hearts, the Red Legion of Honor awards, and a rainbow of campaign ribbons. He had recently shaved his head. The Spartan rose and stood at attention. Dr. Halsey entered. She looked older to John. The wrinkles had the corner of her eyes and mouth more pronounced, streaks of gray in her dark hair. But her blue eyes were as sharp as ever. She wore gray slacks, a black shirt, and her glasses hung about her neck on a gold chain. Vice Admiral on deck, Mendez announced. They all snapped straighter. A man 6 years Dr. Halsey's seniors strode to the stage. His short silver hair looked like a steel helmet. His gait has a strange lope to it, what crewmen called spacewalk, from spending too much time in microgravity. He wore a simple, unadorned black dress UNSC uniform. No medal or campaign ribbons. The insignia on the forearm of his jacket, however, was unmistakable, the rank of a vice admiral. At ease, Spartan, he said. I'm Vice Admiral Stanford. The Spartans took their seat in unison. Dust swirls on stage and collected into a robed figure. Its face was obscured within the shadows of its hood. John could discern no hand at the end of its sleeve. And this is Beowulf, Vice Admiral Stanford said as he gestured to the ghostly creature. Stanford's voice was calm, but distaste was evident on his face. He is our AI attaché with the Office of Naval Intelligence. He turned away from the AI. We have several important issues to cover this morning, so let's get started. The light dimmed. An ember sun appeared in the center of the room with 3 planets in close orbit. This is harvest, he said. Population of approximately 3 million. Although on the periphery of UNSC controlled space, this world is one of our most productive and peaceful colonies. The holographic view zoomed in on the surface of the world and showed grasslands and forests and 1,000 lakes swarming with schools of fish. As of military calendar February 3rd at 14:23 hours, the Harvest orbital platform made long-range radar contact with this object. A blurry outline appeared over the stage. Spectroscopic analysis proved inconclusive, Vice Admiral Stanford said. The object is constructed of material unknown to us. A molecular absorption graph appeared on a side screen, spikes and jag line indicating the relative proportion of elements. Beowulf raised a cloak arm, and the image darkened. The word classified eyes only appeared over the blackened data. Vice Admiral Stanford shot a glare at the AI. Contact with Arvis, he continued, was lost shortly thereafter. The Colonial Military Administration sent the scout ship Argo to investigate. That ship arrived in system on April 20th. But other than a brief transmission to confirm their exit slipstream's position, no further reports were made. In response, Fleet Command assembled a battle group to investigate. The group consisted of the destroyer Heracles, commanded by Captain Verity, as well as the frigate Arabia and Vostok. They entered the Epsilon Indi system on October 7th and discovered the following. The holograph of the planet Harvest changed. The lush fields and rolling hills transform, morphing into a cratered, barren desert. Thin gray sunlight reflected off a glassy crust. Heat wavered from the surface. Isolated region glowed red. This is what was left of the colony. The Vice Admiral paused for a moment to stare at the image, and then continued. We assume that all inhabitants are lost. 3 million lives lost. John couldn't fathom the raw force it had taken to kill so many. For a moment, he was torn between horror and envy. He glanced at the purple heart pinned to his chest and remembered his lost comrades. How did one simple bullet wound compare with so many wasted lives? He was suddenly no longer proud of the decoration. And this is what the Heracles battle group found in orbit. Vice Admiral Stanford told them. The blurry outline that was still visible, hanging in the air, sharpened into crisp focus. It looked smooth and organic, and the whole possessed an odd, opalescent sheen. It looked more like the carapace of an exotic insect than the metal hull of a spacecraft. Recessed into the aft section were pods that pulsed with a purple-white glow. The prow of the crest was swollen like the head of a whale. John thought it possessed an odd, predatory beauty. The unidentified vessel, the Vice Admiral said, launched an immediate attack against our force. Blue flashes strobed from the ship. Red motes of light then appeared along its hull. Bolts of energy coalesce into a fiery smear against the blackness of space. The deadly flashes of life impact on the Arabia, splashed across his hull. Its meter of armor plating instantly boiled away, and a plume of ignited atmosphere burst from the breach in the ship's hull. Those were pulse lasers, Vice Admiral Stanford explained. And, if this record is to be believed, some kind of self guided, superheated plasma weapon. The Heracles and Vostok launched salvos of missiles towards the craft. The enemy's lasers shot half before they reached their target. The balance of the missiles' impact detonated into blossoms of fire that quickly fade. The strange ship shimmered with a semi transparent silver coating, which then vanished. They also seemed to have some reflective energy shield. Vice Admiral Stanford took a deep breath and his features hardened into a mask of grim resolve. The Vostok and Arabia were lost with all hands. The Heracles jumped out of the Citadel, but due to the damage she sustained, it took several weeks for Captain Verity to make it back to Reach. These weapons and defense systems are currently beyond our technology. Therefore, this craft is of non-human origin. He paused, then added, the product of a race with technology far in advance of our own. A murmur buzzed through the chamber. We have, of course, developed a number of first contact scenarios. The Vice Admiral continued. And Captain Verity followed our established protocol. We had hoped that contact with a new race would be peaceful. Obviously, this was not the case. The alien vessel did not open fire until our task force attempt to initiate communications. He paused, considering his words. Fragments of the enemy's transmissions were intercepted. He continued. A few words have been translated. We believe they call themselves the Covenant. However, before opening fire, the alien ship broadcast the following message in the clear. Enter the Covenant. And now this is where shit goes down. We're fucked. He gestured at Beowulf, who nodded. A moment later, a voice thundered from the amphitheater speakers. John stiffened in his seat when he heard it. The voice from the speakers sounded odd, artificial, strangely calm and formal, but laden with rage and menace. Your destruction is the will of the gods, and we are their instruments. John was awestruck. He stood. Yes, Spartan, Stanford said. Sir, is this a translation? No, the Vice Admiral replied. They broadcast this to us in our language. We believe they use some kind of translation system to prepare the message. But it means they've been studying us for some time. John took his seat. As of November 1st, the UNSC has been ordered to full alert, Stanford said. Vice Admiral Preston Cole is mobilizing the largest fleet action in human history to retake the epsilon in the system and confront this new threat. Their transmission made one thing perfectly clear. They're looking for a fight. Only years of military discipline kept John rooted to his seat. You're 14. They're 14, by the way. 14 years old. Sorry about that. Was taking a bite. Remember that. 14. And I will repeat it as many times as it takes. They are 14 when the Covenant first attacked. Only years of military discipline kept John rooted to his seat. Otherwise, he would have stood up and asked to volunteer on the spot. He would have given up anything to go and fight. This was the threat he and the other Spartans had been training for all their lives. He was certain of it. Not scattered rebels, pirates, or political dissident. Oh, you sweet little innocent. You were trained to fight insurrectionists, actually. Literally humans. But they overshot a bit too much to fight humans. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Uh, 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 uh. Yeah. Because of this UNSC wide mobilization, Vice Admiral Stanford continued, your training schedule will be accelerated to its final phase, Project Mjolnir. He stepped away from the podium and clasped his hand behind his back. To that end, I'm afraid I have another unpleasant announcement. He turned to the chief. Chief Petty Officer Mendez will be leaving us to train the next group of Spartans. Chief? John grabbed the edge of the risers. Chief Mendez had always been there for them, the only constant in the universe. Vice Admiral Stanford might as well have told him that Reach was leaving the Epsilon Eridanis system. The chief stepped to the podium and clasped his head. Recruits, he said. Soon your training will be complete, and you will graduate to the rank of Petty Officer Second Class in the UNSC. One of the first things you will learn is that change is part of a soldier's life. You will make and lose friends. You will move. This is part of the job. He looked to his audience. His dark eyes rest on each one of them. He nodded, seemingly satisfied with what he saw. The Spartans are the finest group of soldiers I have ever encountered, he said. It has been a privilege to train you. Never forget what I've tried to teach you. Duty, honor, and sacrifice for the greater good of humanity are the qualities that makes you the best. He was silent for a moment, searching for more words. But finding none, he stood to it at attention and saluted. Attention! John barked. The Spartan rose as one and saluted the chief. Dismiss, Spartan, Chief Mendez said, and good luck. He finished his salute. The Spartans snapped down their arms. They hesitated, and then reluctantly filed out of the amphitheater. John stayed behind. He had to talk to Chief Mendez. Dr. Halsey spoke briefly with the chief and the vice admiral. Then she and the vice admiral left together. Beowulf back towards the far wall and fade away like a ghost. The chief gathered his hat, spotted John, and walked to him. He nodded to the hologram of the Scorch Colony Harvest, still rotating in the air. One final lesson, petty officer, he said. What tactical options do you have when attacking a stronger opponent? Sir, John said, there are two options. Attack swiftly and with full force at their weakest point. Take them out quickly before they have a chance to respond. Good, he said. And the other options? Fall back, John replied. Engage in guerrilla actions to get reinforcements. The chief sighed. Those are the correct answers, he said. But it may not be enough to be correct this time. Sit, please. John sat, and the chief settled next to him on the risers. There's a third option. The chief turned his hat over in his hands. An option that others may eventually consider. Sir? Surrender, Chief whispered. That, however, is never an option for the likes of you and me. We don't have the luxury of backing down. He glanced up at Harvest, a glittering ball of glass. And I doubt that an enemy like this will let us surrender. I think I understand, sir. Make sure you do. And make sure you don't let anyone else give up. He gazed into the shadows beyond the center platform. Project Mjolnir will make the Spartans into something new. Something I could never force them into. Thank you for the hydrate. I can't fully explain. That damn Oni spook is still here listening. Just trust Dr. Halsey. The chief dug into his jacket pocket. I was hoping to see you before they ship me out. I have something for you. He set a small metal disc on the riser between them. When you first came here, the chief said, you fought the trainers when they took this away from you. Broke a few fingers, as I recall. His chiseled figure cracked into a rare smile. John picked up the disc and examined it. It was an ancient silver coin. He flipped it between his finger. It has an eagle on one side, Mendez said. That bird is like you, fast and deadly. John closed his fingers around the quarters. Thank you, sir. He wanted to say that he was strong and fast because the chief had made him so. He wanted to tell him that he was ready to defend humanity against this new threat. He wanted to say that without the chief, he would have no purpose, no integrity, and no duty to perform. But John didn't have the words. He just sat there. Mendez stood. It has been an honor to serve with you. Instead of saluting, he held out his hand. John got to his feet. He took the chief's hand and they shook. It took a great deal of effort. Every instinct screamed at him to salute. Goodbye, Chief Mendez said. He turned briskly on his heel and strode from the room. John never saw him again. And now we will break away from the book to go back to Halsey's journal, as we have a few entries to read. Well, specifically two entries. From Halsey's journal, November 3rd, 2525. First contact at harvest. Not even in my darkest nightmare did I envision this. I assumed we'd be technologically inferior, but never imagined so much carnage. How could advanced beings engage in such inconscionable bloodletting? Humanity's less than unstained hands notwithstanding, they spoke our language. They know us, yet we know nothing of them. Who knows how long they've been studying us? We must assume they know our strengths, our weaknesses. A game changer. For the first time in decades, I don't feel safe. Not even here, buried in the bowels of Reach. File A77 PX127 is circled in this page. Possibly important for later. Another entry, November 5, 2525. They're all scared. The only one not showing any trace of emotions are the vice admiral and the usual suspects, quote unquote. Why? Did they somehow expect this? Can't let them see how terrified I am. Opportunities will emerge from this chaos. No more committees, no more red tape, just a few personal obstacles and personalities to overcome. I've already taken steps to deal with these. The gloves are off, as Mendez says. Just to make sure that I am not overstepping. Oh, okay. All right, okay. Ooh. And now we go back to the Fall of Reach. For chapter 12, I'm just gonna give myself a little treat first. Hi, Sogeta! Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Can we get a shout out for Sogeta, please? If I even have any mods on duty right now. How are you doing? How are you? This one is white chocolate. Shit. Hmm, 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 hmm. I am. I am actually. We are currently reading The Fall of Reach alongside Dr. Halsey's journal. But how are you? I hope you're having a good day at least, or a nice weekend. Now then, chapter 12, 1750, November 27, 2525. On the UNSC frigate Commonwealth, en route to the UNSC Damascus, material testing facility, planet Chai Seti 4. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. All right. The view screen in the bunk room of the UNSC frigate Commonwealth clicked on as the ship entered normal space. Ice particles showered the external camera and gave the distant yellow sun, Chiseti, a ghostly ring. John watched and continued to ponder the word Mjolnir as they sped in system. He had looked it up in the education database. Mjolnir was the hammer used by the Norse god of thunder. Project Mjolnir had to be some kind of weapon. At least he hoped it was. They needed something to fight the Covenant. If it was a weapon, though, why was it here at the Damascus testing facility on the very edge of UNSC control space? He had only even heard of the system 24 hours ago. He turned and surveyed the squad. Although this bunk room had 100 beds, the Spartans still clustered together, playing cards, polishing boots, reading, exercising. Sam sparred with Kelly, although she had to slow herself down considerably to give him a chance. John was reminded that he didn't like being on starships. The lack of control was disturbing. If he wasn't stuck in the freezer, the starship's cramped, unpleasant cryo chamber, He was left waiting and wondering what their next mission would be. During the last 3 weeks, the Spartan had handled a variety of minor missions for Dr. Halsey, tying up loose ends, she had called it, putting down rebel faction on Jericho 7, removing a black market bazaar near the Roosevelt military base. Each mission had brought them closer to the Chi-SETI system. John had made sure every member of the squad had participated in these missions. They had performed flawlessly. There had been no losses. Chief Mendez would have been proud of them. Spartan 117, Dr. Halsey was blared over the loudspeaker. Report to the bridge immediately. John snapped to attention and keyed the intercom. Yes, ma'am. He turned to Sam. Get everyone ready, in case we're needed, on the double. Affirmative, Sam said. You heard the petty officer. Dog those cards. Get into uniform, soldiers. They're 14, by the way. John double-timed it to the elevator and punched the code for the bridge. The door parted and he stepped onto the bridge. Every wall had a screen. Some showed stars and a distant red smear of a nebula. Other screens displayed a fusion reactor status and spectrums of microwave broadcasts in the system. Queen! Hi, Queen! Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you doing, sister? How you doing? Right, right. A brass railing ringed the center of the bridge, and within sat 4 junior lieutenants at their stations: navigation, weapons, communication, and ship operations. John halted and saluted Captain Wallace, then nodded to Dr. Halsey. Captain Wallace stood with his right arm crooked behind his back. His left arm was missing from the elbow down. John remained, saluting until the captain returned the gesture. Over here, please, Dr. Halsey said. I want you to see this. John walked across the rubberized deck and gave his full attention to the screen. Dr. Halsey and Captain Wallace were scrutinizing. It displayed a deconvoluted radar signal. It looked like a tangled yarn to John. There, Dr. Halsey pointed to a blip on the screen. It's there again. Captain Wallace stroked his dark beard, thinking, then said, that puts our ghost at 80 million kilometers. Even if it were a ship, it would take a full hour to get within weapon range. And besides, he waved at the screen, it's gone again. May I suggest that we go to battle station, Captain? Dr. Halsey told him. I don't see the point, he said condescendingly. How is Halo? It's going great. It's going great. We got some good progress in. The captain was clearly less than pleased about having a civilian on his bridge. We haven't let this be widely known, she said. But when the alien were first detected at Harvest, they appeared at extreme range, and then they were suddenly much closer. An intra-system jump? John asked. Dr. Halsey smiled at him. Correctly surmised, Spartan. That's not possible, Captain Wallace remarked. Slipstream space can't be navigated that accurately. You mean we cannot navigate it with that kind of accuracy, she said. The captain clenched and unclenched his jaw. He clicked the intercom. General quarters, all hand to battle stations. Seal bulkhead, I repeat, all hand battle stations. This is not a drill. Reactors to 90%. Come about to course 125. The bridge light darkened to a red hue. The deck rumbled beneath John's boots, and the entire ship tilted as it changed heading. Pressure doors slammed shut and sealed John on the bridge. The Commonwealth stabilized on her new headings, and Dr. Halsey crossed her arms. She leaned over and whispered to John, "We'll be using the Commonwealth's dropships to go to the testing facility on Chi City 4. We have to get to Project Mjolnir." She turned back and watched the radar screen. "Before they do. So get the others ready." "Yes, ma'am." John keyed the intercom. "Sam, muster the squad in Bay Alpha 1. I want the Pelican loaded and ready for drop in 15 minutes. "We'll have it done in 10, Sam replied. "Faster if those longsword interceptor pilots get out of our way." John would have given anything to be below deck with the others. He felt as if he were being left behind. The radar screen flashed with blobs of eerie green light, almost as if the space around the Commonwealth were boiling. A collision alarm sounded. "Brace for impact!" Captain Ballowswell. He laced his arm around the brass railing. John grabbed an emergency handhold on the wall. Something appeared 3,000 kilometers off the Commonwealth's prow. It was a sleek oval with a single seam running around its lateral edge from stem to stern. Tiny lights winked on and off along its hull. A faint purple tin glow emitted from the tail. The ship was only a third the size of the Commonwealth. "A Covenant ship," Dr. Halsey said, and she involuntarily backed away from the view screen. Captain Wallace scowled. "Com officer, send a signal to Chi City. See if they can send us reinforcements." "Aye, sir." Blue flashes flicked along the hull of the alien ship, so bright that even filtered through the external camera, they still made John's eyes water. The other hull of the Commonwealth sizzled and popped. 3 screens filled with statics. "Pulse lasers!" the lieutenant of the op station screamed. "Communication dish destroyed. Armor in section 3 and 4 at 25%. Hull bridge in section 3. Sealing now." The lieutenant swiveled in his seat. Sweat bead on his forehead. "Ship AI core memory overloaded," he said. With the AI offline, the ship could still fire weapons and navigate through slipstream space. But John knew it would take more time to make jump calculation. "Come to headed 030, declination 180, Captain Wallace ordered. "Arm Archer missile pod A through F, and give me a firing solution." "Aye, aye," the navigation and weapon officers said. "A through F pods arm." They furiously tapped away on their keypad. Second ticked by. "Firing solution ready, sir." "Fire." "Pod A through F, firing." The Commonwealth had 26 pods, each loaded with 30 Archer high explosive missiles. On screen, pods A through F opened and launched 180 plumes of rocket exhaust that traced a path from the Commonwealth to the alien ship. The enemy changed course, rotated so that the top of the ship faced the incoming missiles. It then moved straight up at an alarming speed. The Archer missiles altered the trajectory to track the ship, but half their numbers streaked past the target. Clean misses. The others' impact. Fire covered the skin of the alien ship. "Good work, Lieutenant," Captain Wallace said, and he clapped the young officer on the shoulder. Dr. Halsey frowned and stared at the screen. "No," she whispered. "Wait." The fire flared, then dimmed. The skin of the alien ship rippled, like heat wavering off a hot road in the summer. It fluttered with a metallic silver sheen, then brilliant white, and the fire faded, revealing the ship beneath. It was completely undamaged. "Energy shield," Dr. Halsey muttered. She tapped her lower lip, thinking, even ships this small have energy shielding. "Lieutenant," the captain barked at the nav officer, "cut main engine and fire maneuvering thrusters. Rotate and track so that we're pointing at that thing." "Aye, aye, sir." The distant rumbling of the Commonwealth's main engine dimmed and stopped, and she turned about. Her inertia kept the ship speeding towards the testing facility, now flying backwards. What are you doing, Captain? Dr. Halsey asked. Arm the Mac. Enter my favorite weapon. A heavy round. John understood. Turning your back to an enemy only gave them an advantage. The MAC, Magnetic Accelerator Cannon, was the Commonwealth main weapon. It fired a super dense ferric tungsten shell. The tremendous mass and velocity of the projectile obliterated most ships on impact. Unlike the Archer missiles, a MAC round was unguided projectile. The firing solution had to be perfect in order to hit the target. Not an easy thing to do when both ships were moving rapidly. MAC capacitors charging! The weapons officer announced. The Covenant ship turned its sights toward the Commonwealth. Yes, the captain murmured. Give me a bigger target. Pinpoints of blue light glowed and then flared along the alien hull. The tactical view screen on the nose of the Commonwealth went dead. John heard sizzling overhead and then muffled thumps of explosive decompressions. More pulse lasers hit, the ops officer reported. Armor in section 327 down to 4 centimeters. Navigation disk destroyed. Hull breaches on deck 2, 5, and 9. We have a leak in the port fuel tanks. The lieutenant's hand shakily danced over the control. Pumping fuel to starboard reverse tanks, sealing sections. John shifted on his feet. He had to move, axe standing here. Unable to get to his squad, not doing anything, was counter to every fiber of his being. Mac at 100%, the weapon officer shouted. Ready to fire! Fire! Captain Wallace ordered. Lights on the bridge dimmed and the Commonwealth shuddered. The Mac bolt launched through space. A red-hot metal slug moving at 30,000 meters per second. The Covenant ship engine flared to life and the ship veered away. Too late. The heavy round closed and slammed into the target's prow. The Covenant ship reeled backward through space. Its energy shield shimmered and glowed lightning bright, then flickered, dimmed, and went out. Hi, Twisted. We're currently reading The Fall of Reach. Hi. Anyway, the bridge crew let out a victory cheer, except Dr. Halsey. John watched the view screen as she adjusted the camera control and zoomed in on the Covenant ship. The vessel's erratic spinning slowed, and it came to a stop. The ship's nose was crumpled and atmosphere vent into vacuum. Tiny fires flickered inside. The ship slowly came about and started back towards them, gaining speed. It should have been destroyed, she whispered. Tiny red blobs appeared on the hull of the Covenant ship. They glowed and intensified and drifted together, collecting along the lateral line of the craft. Captain Wallace said, Make ready another heavy round. Aye, aye, weapon officer said. Charge at 30%. Firing solution online, sir. No, Dr. Halsey said. Evasive maneuvers, Captain. Now! I won't have my command second guessed, ma'am. The captain turned to face her, and with respect, Doctor, second guessed by someone with no combat experience. He stiffened and placed his hand on his back. I cannot have you removed from the bridge because the bulkheads are sealed. But another outburst like that, Doctor, and I will have you gag. John shot a quick glance to Dr. Halsey. Her face flushed. He couldn't tell from shame or rage. Mac at 50% charge. The red light continued to collect along the lateral line of the Covenant ship until it was a solid band. It brightened. 80% charge. They're turning, sir, the nav officer announced. She's coming to starboard. 95% charge. 100. The weapon officers announced. Send them to Hades, Lieutenant. Fire. The Covenant ship stood its ground. The light dimmed again, the Commonwealth shuddered, and a bolt of thunder and fire tore through the blackness. The blood-red light that had pooled on its lateral line burst forth, streaked towards the Commonwealth, passing the Mac round a mere kilometer away. The red light glowed and pulsed, almost as if it were liquid. Its edge roiled and fluttered. It elongated into a teardrop of ruby light 5 meters long. Evasive maneuver, Captain Wells cried. Emergency thruster to port! The Commonwealth slowly moved out of the trajectory path of the Covenant energy weapon. The Mac round struck the Covenant vessel amidship. Its shield shimmered and bubbled, then disappeared. The Mac round punched through the craft and sent it spinning out of control. The inbound ball of light moved too. It started tracking the Commonwealth. Engine, full power astern, the captain ordered. The Commonwealth rumbled and slowed. The light should have sped past them. Instead, it sharply arced and struck her port amidship. The air filled with a popping and sizzling. The Commonwealth list the starboard, then rolled completely over and continued to tumble. Stabilize, the captain cried. Starboard thrusters! Fire reports in section 1 through 20, the ops officer said, panic creeping into his voice. Deck 2 to 7 in section 1 have melted, sir. They're gone. It grew noticeably hotter on the bridge. Sweat bead on John's back and trickled down his spine. He had never felt so helpless. Were his teammates below deck alive or dead? All port armor destroy. Deck 2 to 5 in section 3, 4, and 5 are now out of contact, sir. It's burning through us. Captain Wallace stood without saying a word. He stared at their one remaining view screen. Dr. Halsey stepped forward. Respectfully, Captain, I suggest that you alert the crew to get on respirator packs. Give them 30 seconds, then vent the atmosphere on all deck except the bridge. The comm officer looked to the captain. Do it, Captain said. Sound the alert. Deck 13 destroy, the ops officer announced. Fire is getting close to the reactor. Whole structure is starting to buckle. Vent atmosphere now, Captain Wallace ordered. Aye, aye, the ops officer replied. There was a sound of thumping through the hole. Then, nothing. Fire is dying out, the ops officer said. Hold temperature cooling, stabilizing. What the hell did they hit us with? Captain Wallace demanded. Plasma, Dr. House replied. But not any plasma we know. They can actually guide its trajectory through space without any detectable mechanism. Amazing. Captain, navigator said. Alien ship is pursuing. The Covenant vessel, a red rime hole punched through its center, turned and started towards the Commonwealth. How? Captain Vallis said unbelievingly. He quickly regained his wits. Ready another Mac Heavy round. The weapon officer slowly said. Mac system destroyed, Captain. We're sitting ducks then, the captain murmured. Dr. Halsey leaned against the brass railing. Not quite. The Commonwealth carries 3 nuclear missiles, correct, Captain? A destination this close would destroy us as well. She frowned and cupped her hands to her chin, thinking. Excuse me, sir, John said. The aliens' tactic thus far has been unnecessarily vicious, like those of an animal. They didn't have to take that second Mac round while they fired at us, but they wanted to position themselves to fire. In my opinion, sir, they would stop and engage anything that challenged them. The captain looked at Dr. Halsey. She shrugged and then nodded. The longsword interceptors? Captain Wallace turned his back to them and covered his face with his one hand. He sighs, nod, and click on the intercom. Longsword Squadron Delta, this is the captain. Get your ship into the black, boys, and engage the enemy ship. I need you to buy us some time. Roger that, sir. We're ready to launch. On our way. Turn us around, the captain told the nav officer. Give me best speed on a vector toward Chiseti 4 orbit. Coolant leaks in the reactor, sir, the officer said. We can push the engine to 30%, no more. Give me 50%, he said. He turned to the weapons officer. Arm one of our Shiva warheads. Set proximity fuse to 100 meters. Yes, sir. The Commonwealth spun about. John felt the change in his stomach, and he tightened his grip on the railing. The spinning slowed, stopped. Then the ship accelerated. Reactor redlining, the officer reported. Meltdown in 25 seconds. Over the speakers, there was a crackle, a hiss of static. Then, longsword interceptors, engaging the enemy, sir. On the remaining aft camera, there were flickers of light, the cold blue strobe of Covenant energy weapon, and the red-orange fireball of the longsword's missiles. Launch the missiles, the captain said. Meltdown in 10 seconds. Missiles away. A plume of exhaust divided the darkness of space. 5 seconds to meltdown, the officer said. 4, 3, 2. Shunt drive plasma to space, the captain ordered. Cut power to all system. The Covenant ship was silhouette for a split second by pure white. Then the view screen snapped off. The bridge light went dead. John could see everything, though. The bridge officers, Dr. Halsey as he clutched onto the railing, and Captain Wallace as he stood and saluted the pilot he had just sent to die. The whole of the Commonwealth rumbled and pinged as the shockwave enveloped them. It grew louder, a subsonic roar that shook John to his bone. The noise seems to go on forever in the darkness. It faded. Then it was completely silent. Power us back up, the captain said. Slowly. Give me 10% from the reactors, if we can manage. The bridge lights came on, dimly, but they worked. Report, the captain ordered. All sensors offline, the op officer said. Resetting backup computer. Hang on. Scanning now. Lots of debris. It's hot back there. All longsword interceptors vaporized. He looked up. The color drained from his face. Covenant ship intact, sir. No, the captain said, and made a fist. It's moving off, though, the op officer said with a dull sigh of relief. Very slowly. What does it take to destroy one of those things? The captain whispered. We don't know if our weapons can destroy them, Dr. Halsey said. But at least we know we can slow them down. The captain stood straighter. Best speed to the Damascus testing facility. We will execute a flyby orbit and then proceed to a 20 million kilometer distance to make repairs. Captain? Dr. Halsey said. A flyby. I have orders to get you to the facility and retrieve whatever Section 3 has stowed there, ma'am. As we fly by, a dropship will take you and your... He glanced at John. Karoo, planet side. If the Covenant ship returns, we will be the bait to lure them away. I understand, Captain. We'll rendezvous in orbit no later than 1900 hours. Dr. Halsey turned to John. We need to hurry. We don't have much time, and there is a great deal I need to show to Spartan. Yes, ma'am, John said. He took a long look at the bridge and hoped he never had to return. Oh boy, that was a harsh one. God, I can feel my throat screaming right now. That chapter was incredible, by the way. The entirety of just the fight of how much you need to coordinate between officers, orders, and the likes. It's insane. It's almost like I feel like this is like a naval battle. Like I know nothing about like ship to ship combat, but it's amazing to hear how well they can just like redirect or aim and the like just by saying like these words and commands essentially. Covenant technology is really something. Yes, yes. Covenant technology is literally Forerunner based. That's why it's so impressive. Because you gotta realize the majority of the Covenant technology is based on Forerunner tech, adapted by the Sanseon or the Prophets for combat, essentially. Thanks to the Huragok. I mean, there are how many people in one ship? Well, I have a book right here that we can probably get the answer from. Let's see. The Halo Encyclopedia. Let's check. Ah, let's see. Do I have a section about ship in this thing? Probably. Covenant chapter start at 118 in this encyclopedia. So, let's go to that. Let's see if I can find like one ship just to give us an idea. Maybe we have this information in there. Otherwise, I have another book that we can check. Let's see. I'm just gonna go to the index at the end and see if I can find like one of them. Let's see. C. Covenant assault carrier, Covenant destroyer, heavy cruiser. They're all on the same page. So, 276. All right, page 276. Now then, do we have like an estimate of its crew number? We don't really have an estimate, sadly. However, uh, if from the description of this thing, let's see. Let me just make sure. At least 7. That's a dropship. That's the destroyer. Ta-ra-ta-ta-ta. If I am correct, and generally I'm very wrong, I'm rarely wrong in this, we should be against a light cruiser, actually. Yeah, it should be a light cruiser that we're currently against, which this thing is approximately 300-meter long. It is a very, very small ship, by the way, but it still packs a fucking punch, as was described. Do I have in the other book? Maybe in the other book I have a better definition of like its weaponry and the like. That's smaller than our warships. It's like a scouting ship, right? It's armed enough to defend itself, but it's not made for like long fight. Let's see here. Where's the index in this thing? Okay. Uh L light. Sorry. Mm. Cruiser 41 on this one. That's okay. Use interference, battle cruiser. Uh-huh. Nope, no information on this one. The Yamato is 260 meters. Yeah, those are Navy ships, by the way. You gotta understand. Let me if I look at this right? If I look at this correctly, um, the smallest ship that the smallest spaceship the Covenant have is a destroyer, which is 33 meters long. And those are literally the ship they use for general glassing, like a fleet of them. Then we move on to the light cruiser, which is 300-meter long. And then we go to an assault carrier, which is no, wait, correction. We go to a heavy cruiser, which is 3,000 meters long. Afterwards, we go to the assault carrier, which is 5,347 meters long. And then we finish it up with where's this? Where's the kid? Where's the kid? This ship. Oh no, that's the assault carrier. Never mind. Yeah. Which let's see. If I look if I try to find the Commonwealth, yeah, it doesn't tells me how big it was, which is sad because I really wanted to know. God damn it! They have omitted that information from my book. Pisses me off. Ah, damn it! Fuck. Well, you know what I said. When you don't have the information in the book, you look into it on the internet. Let's see. UNSC Commonwealth. Do I have? Is a Paris class heavy frigate. Oh, okay. So a Paris class heavy frigate is essentially the same frigate that Miranda Keyes piloted in Halo 2, essentially. So this thing is 535 meters. And let's see. So theoretically speaking, the ship that we're currently fighting is 1/3 of this. So this means this is not a light a light carrier either. Oh boy, that changes a lot. If we're fighting something that is 1/3 of our current size, let's see. I need to do some maths here. We need to do a math, right? If the current ship that we're currently in is 535 meters divided by 3, this means the Covenant ship is 178 around 178 meters long, which means if I look at the Covenant ships, um this is very important. Classification system. All right. No. Let's see. Restore, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at what could fit this measure. Let's check. Um, Not this. This is 700 meters long, which is way too long. Could it be a Corvette? 485 meters long. That is not the right thing. Okay. A storm cutter. Possibly a Corvette and light warship. It could be a light Corvette or a storm cover. I would be pissed if it was just a fucking that is way too long. And the higher I go, they're too long. So I don't see the destroy on this thing. The destroy on this one is way bigger than what I have in my books though. The fuck? So essentially we're fighting a Corvette. Essentially. Either that or we're getting our ass kicked by a fucking support ship. That would be very funny and very ironic. Now that I think about it. So, so. We're gonna take some water, and then another chapter. Yeah, just did that. Thank you. Rézouille. Oh my. All right. All right. So, chapter 13. 1845, November 27, 2525. UNSC Damascus, Material Testing Facility on planet Chai Seti 4. Sorry about that. My throat is getting. This is probably going to be our last chapter for the night because my throat is starting to hurt. How far down? How far down was the testing facility? John and the other Spartan had been confined to a freight elevator for 15 minutes, and the entire time it had been rapidly descending into the depths of Chai Seti 4. I mean, if it's just a SP chip, it would drive the point further. Guys, we are fucked. Yeah. All right. The last place John wanted to be was in another confined space. The doors finally slid open, and they emerged in what appeared to be a well lit hangar. The far hand had an obstacle course set up with walls, trenches, dummy targets, and barbed wire. 3 technicians and at least a dozen AI figures were busy in the center room. John had seen AIs before, one at a time. Deja had once told the Spartan that there were technical reasons why AIs couldn't be in the same place at the same time. But here were many ghostly figures, a mermaid, a samurai warrior, and one made entirely of bright light with comets trailing in her wake. Dr. Halsey cleared her throat. The technicians turned, the AIs vanished. John had been so focused on the hologram that he hadn't noticed the 40 plexiglass mannequins set up in rows. On each was a suit of armor. The armor reminded John of the exoskeleton he had seen during training, but much less bulky, more compact. He stepped closer to one and saw that the suit actually had many layers. The outer layer reflected the overhead lights with a faint green gold iridescence. It covered the groin, outer thighs, knee, shins, chest, shoulders, and forearms. There was a helmet and an integrated power pack, much smaller than standard marine battery packs. Underneath were intermeshed layers of matte black metal. Project Mjolnir, Dr. Halsey said. She snapped her fingers, and an exploded holographic schematic of the armor appeared next to her. The armor's shell is a multi layer alloy of remarkable strength. We recently added a refractive coating to disperse incoming energy weapon attack to counter our new enemies. She pointed inside the schematic. Each battlesuit also has a gel filled layer to regulate temperature. Hang on, I need to replace myself. I am not in a comfortable position. Yep, but I. There you go. Chérie d'amour. All right. Against the skin of the operator, there is also a moisture absorbing cloth suit and biomonitors that constantly adjust the suit's temperature and fit. There's also an onboard computer that interfaces with your standard issue neural implant. She gestured and the schematic collapsed so that it only displayed the outer layers. As the image changed, John glimpsed vein-like microcapillaries, a dense sandwich of optical crystals, a circulating pump, even what looked like a miniature fusion cell in the backpack. Most importantly, Dr. Halsey said, the armor's inner structure is composed of a new reactive metal liquid crystal. It is amorphous, yes, fractally scaled, and amplifies force. In simplified terms, the armor doubles the wearer's strength and enhances the reaction speed of a normal human by a factor of 5. She waved her hand through the hologram. There is one problem, however. The system is so reactive that our previous test with unaugmented volunteers ended in, she searched for the right word, failure. She nodded to one of the technicians. A flat video appeared in the air. It showed a Marine officer, a lieutenant been fit with a Mjolnir hammer. Power is on, someone said from off screen. Move your right arm, please. The soldier's arm blurred forward with incredible speed. The Marine's stoic expression collapsed into shock, surprise, and pain as his arm shattered. He convulsed, shuddered, and screamed as he jerked in pain. John could hear the sound of bone breaking. The man's own agony induced spasms were killing him. Halsey waved the video away. Normal humans don't have the reactant time or strength required to drive this system, she explained. You do. Your enhanced musculature and the metal and ceramic layers that have been bonded to your skeleton should be enough to allow you to harness the armor's power. There has been insufficient computer modeling, however. There will be some risk. You'll have to move very slowly and deliberately until you get a feel for the armor and how it works. It cannot be powered down, nor can the response be scaled back. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am, a Spartan answered. Questions? John raised his hands. When do we get to try them on, Doctor? Right now, she said. Volunteers? Every Spartan raised a hand. Dr. Halsey allowed herself a tiny smile. She surveyed them, and finally, She turned to John. You've always been lucky, John, she said. Let's go. He stepped forward. The technician fit him as the others watched, and the pieces of the Mjolnir system were assembled around his body. It was like a giant three-dimensional puzzle. Please breathe normally, Dr. Halsey told him, but otherwise remain absolutely still. John held himself as motionless as he could. The armor shifted and melded to the contours of his form. It was like a second skin, and much lighter than he had thought it would be. It heated, then cooled, then matched the temperature of his body. If he closed his eyes, he wouldn't have known he was encased. They set the helmet over his head. Health monitors, motion sensors, suit status indicator pulsed into life. A targeting reticle flickered on the heads-up display. Everyone move back, Elsie ordered. The Spartan, from their expression, they were concerned for him, but still intensely curious. All right. Cleared a ring with a radius of 3 meters around him. There it is. Listen carefully to me, John, Dr. Halsey said. I just want you to think, and only think, about moving your arm up to chest level. Stay relaxed. He willed his arm to move, and his hand and forearm sprang forward to chest level. The slightest motion translated his thoughts to motion at lightning speed. It had been so fast, if he hadn't been attached to his arm, he might have missed that it had happened at all. The Spartan gasped. Sam applauded. Even lightning-fast Kelly seemed impressed. Dr. Halsey slowly coached John through the basic of walking and gradually built up the speed and complexity of his motions. After 15 minutes, he could walk, run, and jump, almost without thinking of the difference between suit motion and normal motion. Petty officer, run through the obstacle course, Dr. Halsey said. We will proceed to fit the other Spartans. We don't have a great deal of time left. John snapped a salute without thinking. His hand bounced off his helmet, and a dull edge throbbed in his hand. His wrist would be bruised if his bone hadn't been reinforced. He knew they would have been pulverized. Carefully, petty officer. Very carefully, please. Yes, ma'am. John focused his mind on motion. He leaped over a 3-meter high wall. He punched at concrete targets, shattering them. He threw knives, sinking them up to into targets' dummies, sinking them up to their haft into target dummies. He slid under barbed wires as bullets zinged over his head. He stood and let the round deflect off the armor. To his amazement, he actually dodged one or two of the rounds. Soon, the other Spartans joined him on the course. Everyone ran awkwardly through the obstacles, as though they had no coordinations. John expressed his worry to Dr. Halsey. It will come to you soon enough. You've already received some subliminal training during your last cryo sleep, Dr. Halsey told him. Now all you need is time to get used to the suits. More worrisome to John was the realization that they'd have to learn how to work together all over again. Their usual hand signal were too exaggerated now. A slight wave or tremble translated into a full force punch or uncontrolled vibrations. They would have to use a comm channel for the time being. As soon as he thought of this, his suit tagged and monitored the other Mjolnir suits. Their standard issued UNSC neural chip, implanted in every UNSC soldiers at induction, identified friendly soldiers and displayed them on their helmet HUDs. But this was different. All he had to do was concentrate on them, and a secure comm channel open. It was extremely efficient. And much to his relief, after drilling for 30 minutes, the Spartan had recovered all of their original group coordinations and more. On one level, John moved the suit, and in return, it moved him. On another level, however, communication with his squad was so easy and natural. He could move and direct them as if they were an extension of his body. Over the hangar speakers, the Spartan heard Dr. Halsey's voice. Spartans, so far, so good. If anyone is experiencing difficulty with the suit or its control, please report in. I think I'm in love, Spartan replies. Oh, sorry, ma'am. I didn't think that was an open channel. Flawless amplification of speed and power, Kelly said. It's like I've been training in this suit for years. Do we get to keep them? John asked. You're the only one who can use them, petty officer. Who else could we give them to? We. A technician handed her a headset. One moment. Please, report, Captain. Captain Wallace's voice broke over the comm channel. We have contact with the Covenant ship, ma'am. Extreme range. Their slip space engines must still be damaged. They are moving towards us via normal space. Your repair status? She asked. Long range communications inoperable. Slipstream generators offline. Max system destroyed. We have 2 fusion missiles and 20 Archer missile pod intact. Armor plating is at 20%. There was a long hiss of static. If you need more time, I can try and draw them away. No, Captain, she replied, and carefully scrutinized John and the other armored Spartans. We're going to have to fight them. And this time, we have to win. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today for this second part of the read along. I am very happy of the progress we made today. My throat is currently killing me. So we will stop it here, and sadly next week I would have to say next Sunday again, because I have a collab happening. We are continuing Halo 2 with Gween, I believe, this week. I do have a special collab on Saturday. With I would need to check again. I lots of good things. Lots of good things. Lots of good things. Let's see. I have a collab with someone called the Desk Agent on Saturday on their channel, which is more like an interview, some kind. We're just gonna, be chatting and get to know each other in the form of an interview. I will be posting more information as the week comes. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Halo 2 is Friday. Yes, Halo 2 will be Friday. Unless Gwyn tells me that she has some other things happening. With that being said, let's check who we are rating today. If you guys have any idea for a rain message, please try them out while I'm looking for a raid target. Let's see if someone is streaming Halo today. Uh, let's see. Anybody playing Halo right? Oh. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba. That's loud. Oh shit. You have impeccable timing. Hi, Cherno. Welcome to the end. Oh, I might have found someone. Unless they're off. No, they're offline. Never mind. It says they're live. Are they not live? I guess not. Okay. Uh Now recap everything you read today. We essentially reviewed the first mission of the Spartan outside of training, which was to capture an insurrectionist leader. And then afterwards, we were shown the dreadful reality that there are more than just humans in the universe. As we just learned that Harvest was completely glassed. Now we've traveled to the Chiseti Force planet in order to recover the Mjolnir armor, while also getting our fucking ass kicked by literally like a Corvette. Great things. Remember Reach? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Am I I'm looking at the people who are playing Halo right now, and it feels like there's like a tournament going on or some shit, which is very funny to me. Um, I know nothing about these people. I guess we're rating someone new today. Hmm. Yeah, a Halo tournament in 2025. Sorry if I'm taking so long. Like I'm trying to find someone, but it's not easy. Who is this person? I don't know this person. This person's playing. Why? Okay. You know what? Whatever. We're just gonna look at who's live and my in my following list. Uh oh. Okay, no, that's a big ass fucking collab they're on. I'm not gonna join that. Uh, that's another collab. We could go see Nio. Nio's live. Thank you for stream. Thank you so much for stopping by, Sogeta. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what? Yeah, let's go see Nio. It's been a while. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Raid message, raid message, raid message. Tell us about the lore. The Fall of Reach lore. Project lore. There you go. Alright, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. Streams will be very much, as usual, chaotic this week. I don't know what's gonna happen to me or my life. So, if you see me live, that's because I'm probably gonna be working on something. Otherwise, see you guys Wednesday for some more actions. I don't know what yet. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you guys will tune in next Sunday for more Reach. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Say hi to the YouTube. Bye bye. Take care.